Hi, this is Ramirez for Raven Studios. Recently, I've been running more and more of my productions out of Ableton and through guitar pedals. Not because plugins aren't good, I mean, they're amazing, but because I'm craving some tactile control, a bit of friction, some unpredictability, turning real knobs, sort of making decisions in the moment and committing to sounds instead of endlessly refining them in the DAW. So, in this video, I show you exactly how I'm routing audio out of Ableton into pedals and back into the session, and why that physical interaction has started changing how I finish tracks. Now, I've always loved Chase Bliss audio pedals and already use a few of them in the studio. This one, namely Lossy, has been on rotation a lot recently, so I'm focusing on it here. Of course, I'll dive into the others in future videos. So, this isn't a review, it's just how I'm working right now. Let's get into it. So, I'm working on a project at the moment. This is my Raise D project. It's a little bit more electronic, and it goes a little bit like this. I shall play you a snippet of it. Okay, so that's the project. Let's get into it. Now, I want to show you how I route my pedals first before we do it. Or route, if you're American. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw you one of my trusty diagrams. I know you love them all. It's another little kiddies drawing. So here we go. I'm going to show you, this is like a sort of standard audio interface, and you need one with more than 2 outputs. You need one with preferably 4 at least. Now, I have multiple sound cards here, and I've probably got about 32 outputs and inputs in total. And that's because I like to have all my synths plugged in. They're constantly plugged in there like that. But if you have just got like a, I don't know, Focusrite Scarlett 4 in, 4 out, would be what it looks like. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so these are your ins and these are your outs, right? Now, what you want to do, these output 1 and 2 normally goes to your speaker, speaker left. I love these drawings, like a child's drawing. Speaker right. Okay, now you've got 3 outputs spare. And what we can do here is, here's your guitar pedal. Here's a little drawing of the guitar pedal. You've got the input into the guitar pedal, and then you've got the output there. Okay, so output from 3 goes into input 1, and output from 4 goes into input 2, like that. And then out from the guitar pedal goes into input 3, and then out from the pedal goes into input 4. Now, you might have only got 2 inputs on your sound card. Some do. Those Audient sound cards only have they have 4 outs but 2 ins. Whatever. If you've got 2 ins, then just go output to input 1 and 2. If you've got 4 ins, use 3 and 4, okay? Or just 1 and 2. So the idea is that it goes out from Ableton into the guitar pedal, back from the guitar pedal, back into the sound card. You're routing it back in. Now, what does it look like in the real world? So in Ableton here, I'm using a send effect, and I'll explain why in a minute, but this send effect here has got an audio effect, an external audio effect. Now, what's happening here is that this send effect gets sent to audio output, in this instance 21, 22, because I've got lots more outputs. But in your case, or it could be just output 3 and 4, you send it there, audio 2, output 3 and 4, which is plugged into your guitar, and then the guitar pedal comes back out into input 3 and 4, like so, okay? And this creates a sort of routing. So, and what we get here is we get the ability, because I'm using a send, I get the ability to be able to route any of my channels to this guitar pedal, which sounds a bit like this, okay? So if I just solo it, you can hear the drums going through the guitar pedal. Let's take a listen. Is it turned on? Okay, let's listen to that. Okay, so you can hear that it's going there. And if I turn this off of solo, you'll be able to hear it coming through. And you'll note it's all in time. What's really good about Ableton is that it compensates for the time it takes to go out of the computer into the guitar pedal and back from the guitar pedal into Ableton. It compensates for it automatically, and which is very cool. Once you've got that set up, the next thing you want is to be able to set up some means of recording it. Okay, so I've got a spare channel there. I've created a new channel, right? It's called record. And on that record, I'm going to record it this way. I've set it, the input to be, okay, so look, I'm going, all these channels, look, I've got the input to be the guitar pedals. There it is, like that. And then I've got the monitoring off. I don't want to hear it coming through. Again, you're already hearing it once through the guitar pedal. You don't want to have the monitoring on. Okay, so that enables me to record it, right? So that's just setting up. I'm using an external audio effect. There it is, like that. And I'm using it on a send, which enables me to be able to send any of these channels. At the moment, I've got the drums there. I can send the bass through it if I want to. And it's on E. Listen to this. That's going through it. Okay, I can send any channel I want. I can send the main synth line through it if I want to. I can go through it. Sounds pretty bonkers, right? But my point is that it's a versatile chain. Okay, now, secondly, why am I using Lossy? Is a direct import of this plugin called Lossy, funnily enough, made by Goodhertz. So you can see on the front of here, it actually says Goodhertz Lossy. Now, so it is kind of a direct import. The difference being, though, you have this freeze functionality, which we'll look at in a minute. So there is some differences. Okay, so why would you use something like a guitar pedal? Well, the main reason for me is the tactile control. Because I'm not a player as such. I've got all these synths, but I can't really play them. I don't really play the guitar, even though I've got all these guitar pedals. This, for me, is like an instrument. And I can actually get a performance out of it. So what I like to do is I actually like to perform on this pedal and record what I've done back into Ableton. And then I'm able to then use that recording and put it wherever I want in Ableton, okay? So, and I think using this sort of tactile control is just sort of takes you away from the screen. I think we have too much screen time these days. Screen time, you know, we're already checking our emails, we're already doing everything else on the computer. So it's nice to be able to get away from the computer and actually play with something physical. Now, Lossy it's the sound of old MP3 compression. A bit like, I don't know, an old video format or an old digital format from very early on. And there's a few sort of knobs here which enable you to get that sound. So loss is how much. Now, with it off, okay, that's the filter, right? That's the filter there. That's how steep the filter is. It's a bandpass filter, okay, that's really cool. And then we've got this loss here. Loss is how much of the packets is sort of adding the glitch effect. It sort of creates gaps, but then in the gaps it creates a glitch, or on that side it creates a gap. So listen to that, and that's so not only are you getting the degradation, but you're also getting these glitches as well. The speed is how many of those glitches come in, how fast they come in and out. So very slow. Okay, and then that side, it's just the gap. Less glitchy. Okay, so of course there's more to it than that. The difference between the pedal and the plugin is that you've got this freeze function. Which is amazing. I just absolutely love that. And then you've got 3 different modes of loss as well. You've got sort of different types of frequency. Up here, you've got like more of a sort of noise-induced loss. Amazing. So you've got all of this ability to be able to create these really glitchy, old style MP3, almost dial-up sounds. Now, why do we like this? Well, I think the idea of imperfection, adding a bit of dirt and filth into your production is, for me, great, because we're working in the digital domain now. Everything's perfect. We've got bit perfect quality. However, and that's why something like this for me sort of gives me that little dirt and crunch and filth, the option to be able to inject a little bit of imperfection. I'm going to steal something from Rick Rubin here. The idea that humanity creates these rough edges, this idea of perfection. We don't want perfection. We don't want everything to sound perfect, especially in the sort of age of AI. AI can make the most perfect sounding, amazing track. We need to inject a little bit of humanity, a bit of dirt, a few mistakes here and there, something with some rough edges, okay? And this pedal is perfect for that. Now, I've got a few of these Chase Bliss pedals. We've got the Onward, I've got the Mood here as well. And, you know, and the Lossy, I'm gonna collect them all because they're just amazing. They're really good for synthesis. And what I like to use them for is I sort of see them as modular. It's like modular effects. You can see there as well. I've got, if I pull this out, you can see that I've got the, I've got like a here, just out of shot there is my patch bay. Everything's patched into there. And that enables me to be able to patch in any pedal to any synth in any order. So it's like a modular effects routing, which I think for me is brilliant because I can really get creative. I can send out from the Lossy into Onward, into a distortion. I can sort of chain them in any order I want to. So it's almost like modular synthesis, but using effects instead. And Chase Bliss are amazing because their pedals are a little bit more twisted, a bit more creative. They're a bit out there. They're not just your standard guitar pedal. You can make some really interesting sounds. It's perfect for synthesis like me and perfect for running out of Ableton through them and recording them back and performing with them, okay? So in terms of performance, let's get into that. So I'm now going to record this performance here, take it out of solo. I'm going to record my drums at this point. So let's do that. And let's set where I want it to start from. So I think I want to start from there. Brilliant. So I'm going to start it from there and I'm just going to perform it as we record it. Now this record here, all we need to do is now make sure it's armed, which it is. And I'm just going to press record and it will record onto there from the return effects. You can see there I added some reverb to it as well as it went along. Okay, so we've now got this performance, which I'm going to put back in here, and I'm going to create a track underneath my drums. Before we do that, you'll note that there is latency added, and you can see that there. If I go into the actual clip itself, look, there's latency. Now, if anybody knows how to avoid that when you're recording back in from return effects into a channel, please let me know because I always forget how to do it. So yes, I'll be grateful for anybody that wants to remind me. Okay, so look, let's just put the start point at the very beginning there, like so, like that, and then that will just put it into time with everything else. I'm then going to create a track underneath here. I'm going to go Command T. And I'm just going to drag it up here. I want to leave my record channel for other things. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with this because, you know, I would record lots of other things. But for the sake of this video, let's just keep it short. So there's my recording. I'm going to turn this off as well. So let's have a listen. Brilliant. So there's a few things we can do with this straight away. Let's just call this Lossy. Lossy record. I'm going to use a filter on this. Let's do that. An auto filter, brilliant. I'm going to filter it up from sort of low, so the drum's coming normal. And I'm just going to filter it all the way up to there. And then here, I'm just going to cut it out at the very end like so. And just do a little fade on the end there like that. Let's put the warping onto beats mode, okay? Let's do that. Now, we can do whatever we want with this. I'm just going to sort of filter it in. It's the easy thing to do. So it comes up gradually. I'm going to create another one of these channels, actually. So let me do that. I'm going to have this channel here. I'm going to take the filter off it. And I'm going to just have this here, like a little fill in here, like so. I'm going to turn this one up. I'll remove it from there, like that, or just at least mute it from there. And this is where I can have a louder version. Okay, and then on the drums, I can mute the drums for like a little section there. Let's do that. I'll automate the on and off of the drums like that, so we can hear it's like a little fill that comes in. And you can hear that coming up in the background. Oh, let me take off the guitar pedal there as well. You can actually hear that. Maybe have a bit more of a gap on the drums there. Let's do it for a bar instead. That can be things like, you can do things like reversing things. You just reverse there. Which is kind of cool, I like that. And let's reverse that whole section there. Actually, I don't like that one. Let's take that out. So we got it filtering in, we've got a little fill there, we can do another little fill as well there. Let me put that one down there, that little reverse, and then we can automate the drums on and off there for that section as well. Turn that bit up, so we've got like a definite reverse. Maybe even turn that up there in the clip itself, just to get a little bit more volume. Awesome. Of course, that's a little bit loud in the mix because I just wanted to sort of make sure you can hear that in there. So that's a way of being able to create a performance through my guitar pedal. You know, a tactile performance where I'm actually performing it like an instrument. And I'm able to record it back into Ableton and edit to my heart's content. I just showed you a few ideas of how to do that there. Lossy is amazing because I find it just enables me to inject that imperfection, which Rick Rubin so eloquently talks about, and give some bit of dirt and filth into an otherwise perfect production. Okay, so that's just one idea of how I use guitar pedals. I'll be doing a series of these and looking at different guitar pedals and how I might use them. So stay tuned for the next one. See you later.